Hey everyone, it's Paul, and let's start off with the t-shirt. Like, come on. Think like a proton, and I would edit this personally and say, and be positive. It says stay positive, but this is the truth, folks. Markets, yeah, you want to think like a proton. All right, today's video, number one AI stock right now, right now, right now, right now. But before we do that, got to go through the fine print, black and white disclaimer, not investment advice, means that this is my take, my opinion. It's information, engagement, entertainment, but is not investment advice. It has not considered your particular risks, assets, income, age, all the stuff that you need to take into account before you put on any investment operation. Past performance does not equal or guarantee future results. The future is always uncertain. We don't know. You got to take the risk to be able to get the reward. And that means there is always the possibility of capital loss. In other words, if things go wrong and you sell, you might take a loss. Finally, I can make mistakes. I can make errors. I can like there can be oversights. So any information in this video is not guaranteed to be perfectly accurate. Always be errors. All right, but let's get to video at hand here, which is that there is just this insane frenzy going on for artificial intelligence right now. That is driven by this thing called ChatGPT. And if you haven't heard of it, just go to Google, type in ChatGPT and try it out. It is amazing. Everyone is using it, from everything from learning to code video games, to write reports, or to help research. It is an invaluable tool that can really cut down the amount of time that you spend on any number of mental tasks. That a lot of us spend our time on daily. You can use ChatGPT, and it is absolutely, absolutely awesome. And it has driven so many AI stocks just rocketing up. There is a company called C3 AI, which is a small company. I think that stock has gone up 100% in the last couple of months. No joke. And others, are brewing out there. So people want to know, like, hey, well, can I buy the maker of ChatGPT? Oh, unfortunately, you can't, because the company that makes ChatGPT is called OpenAI, and it is not publicly traded. It's not publicly traded. So what are some sort of like bigger AI stocks? I should have probably put C3 AI in here, but I was thinking sort of like bigger sort of technology. C3 AI, they sell to companies. The ticker symbol there is AI. And I think that is actually one of the reasons why the stock has gone up. There's a lot of research that says that when stuff like this happens, people will just buy, the ticker symbol of whatever it is that is being hyped. So I have not put that one on there, but nonetheless, Palantir Technology, PLTR, this is a widely known AI stock that is used by governments, big companies. They've been around a long time. Peter Thiel is one of their founders. And I actually named this as my number one stock for 2023 because of what was going on with ChatGPT. As soon as I found out about ChatGPT, used it, I was like, 2023 is going to be the year of AI. And I put Palantir as my number one stock. So, you can go and actually check, and we can put a link up to that video up there. You can watch that video. Now, other people may be thinking, well, I really want to get into AI. How should I get in? Like, I want more exposure. Well, just think about what, AI is. Essentially, what it does is it automates like lots of little mental tasks that you would otherwise have to spend a lot of time and effort on. And one of the really big mental tasks, if you break it down, is driving. There's so many small calculations that you have to make, so many little judgments. And so one of the places where I think that the stock market is going to come to and say, that's a really big AI application, self-driving or autonomy. And this company which has the ticker symbol TSP, too simple, incredibly controversial. They've gone through, I don't know, so many like different controversies all through 2022, founders leaving, management coming, management going. Still, the underlying technology at Too Simple is pretty awesome. And that has not changed. And many people focus on the controversies. I look at the technology, its development, and where it is going. And they are still the leader, in my judgment, in my opinion, of truck autonomy, which is critical because we have the shortage of folks that want to drive trucks. I mean, and that's been true for quite a long time, but it is extreme right now. So the environment is ripe for autonomy technology to take hold. And this is a form of artificial intelligence. Those cameras, just feed in an enormous amount of information, and LiDAR feeds in a lot of information, and sensors feed in a lot of information, and you've got to process all that in real time and make judgments. And because of the shortage that's out there, well, Too Simple's technology, if it's in the lead, well, it's going to get used, irrespective of the controversies. And I can tell you, the stock market can forget all of those things very, very fast. A couple of good quarters, them telling you that people are starting to use the Too Simple platform, boom, stock rocket higher, rocket higher. All right. Tesla is another one. I want to tell you anything much more about Tesla. You know that they've been working on autonomy for passenger cars now for 5, 6, 7 years. I have it myself in my Tesla, and I can say that it's probably at the 70 or 80% mark, even on local roads now. So this is moving pretty fast. And they are going to get some amount of the investor share, mind share of AI dollars. And also Tesla is working on their Tesla bot. And most people dismiss it, but hey, dismiss Elon, really? I mean, come on, EVs, rockets that go into space and come back. Like, nah, I mean, Tesla bot's going to be something. And it's going to go to Tesla, TSLA. All right, but there is a stock that nobody's thinking about. Nobody. I mean, it's kind of like a secret stock. I mean, it's not that you can't find it, but in the sense that no one's really talking about this as a AI play. And that's because they're in the business of something called robotic process automation, RPA. Now, I'm not going to get into what robotic process automation is, but essentially, in a very simple way, it does very intelligent cut and paste work. Right? I mean, if you think about if you work in finance, you work in business, and you work on worksheets and docs, all that stuff. I mean, how much of your day is spent cut and pasting and in data analysis? Well, robotic process automation really kind of automates all that. And it has to make some amount of decisions. You got to code all that and understand the particular situation. So it's a niche form of AI. And UiPath is, from what I know and understand of the stock market, really the company that dominates robotic process automation AI. Special case, niche case. It's a $17 stock representing a $9.2 billion company. And the low for the stock was back in November of 2022, as many stocks bottomed out, growth stocks bottomed out. That was about $10. It's at $18 when I checked right before getting on, so 17 is slightly bigger. All right, some information on UiPath, ticker symbol PATH. If you go look on places like Yahoo Finance or where they give this kind of information out for free, 2023 estimates are that UiPath will grow by about 18%. But in their most recent quarter, and this is the terminology, if you see MRQ, that's what it means, most recent quarter that the company reported, well, their sales are growing by 19%, and their annualized recurring revenue, in other words, they run a subscription business. So, you pay monthly, well, that's up 36%. Well, that's huge, that's big. And eye-poppingly, their margins are 84%, which just shows you that these AI companies, I mean, they're like a variation of a software company, no different than Microsoft or any of these companies. In other words, you write the code, you have to maintain the code. It costs something to maintain the code, but essentially, once you do the vast majority of it, that's your primary cost. And then as you sell these subscriptions, yeah, you get 84% margins. In other words, as growth goes up, money is just going to drop. I mean, it's going to be a flood of profit for the UiPath. And it's just more and more companies, because what company is not involved in modeling their business, figuring out, the data around, all the research that we do on every product. Everyone does it. So their UiPath is a company that, could really has wide application for all kinds of companies all around the world. So I started to give you the reasoning for UiPath, but here's some of the financial reasoning, which is that, that as growth investors focus on sales growth. And this is why you focus on price to sales. In other words, you compare the 1 year sales of a company and you compare it to the market capitalization of the company. UiPath trades for about 8 times sales. And I can tell you that from experience of being in the markets for a very, very long time, that 8 times sales for 20-ish% growth, and I know it was 19%, but I'm willing to bet that that growth is going to accelerate as more and more companies actually adopt UiPath and robotic process automation. So 20% growth, 80% plus gross margins, and then they have like $1.2 billion or $1.4 billion in cash. It was on the previous slide that I had, but for that much, for a company that is, has a market capitalization of 9 billion, that's cheap, in my judgment, in my opinion. The second thing is that from what I can tell, there's simply no other company that has made an all-in bet on RPA, robotic process automation. So if this takes off, if RPA takes off, well, they will get a premium valuation for being the only company, because, hey, if you want to invest in robotic process automation, UiPath is pretty much the only game in town. Now, in bull markets, people look forward. They don't look backward. In bear markets, people, look backward and try to get prices that are cheaper than what was there before. But bull markets, they look forward. They look at the growth that's coming and they capitalize it by willing to pay for that growth ahead of time. And the more certain that the growth is, in investors' judgment, the more into the future they're willing to pay, and the more that they are willing to pay. So if you start with about $1 billion worth of revenue, which is where UiPath is today, and even you run scenarios of 20% upside for the next 1, 2, or 3 years, you're looking at 100% plus upside in the stock price if people start to look forward and price in the future. And 20% growth in a business that's subscription oriented with 80% margins. Yeah, I mean, my experience, that trades for 15 or 20 times sales. And people will look forward and price that in, and this will look expensive all the time. And a lot of people will end up missing out. But this will be one of the secret plays that did incredibly well during what is clearly becoming an AI boom. So if you like stocks like this, thinking like this, please check into my business, which is ATG Digital Media. There is a link below. You can also click here and it will take you to our website. You can also check out my Substack, where we write about ideas like this for free. There's no subscription there. We cover all these kinds of ideas, these kinds of thinkings. Check that out. And if none of that is appealing to you, well, hey, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come back again next week. This is Paul saying bye.